Good morning. This is CHRISI from Solstice ATR and Vulcan Capital Research. What I'd like to do is go over all the technicals for the coming week. First of all, I want to call this video "What's Bad News is Less Bad News." And the second thing, global economy was shut down, which is no longer shut down. We're trying to reopen. So let's first start by looking at the combination of those four instruments. We are on an uptrend on a weekly basis above the 200 SMA as well as above the 116 SMA. As well, we tapped the 50 simple moving average. We are increasing higher. We're above the 61.8 fib. So let's take a look at the DJI, which is the Dow Jones Industrial Average on a week basis, and I can show you that it is above the 200 SMA, above the 18, touched the 116. We are above the 61.8, and at the same time we're trying to reach to the 50 simple moving average with the consolidation from prior, where we looked and we went higher. So from high to low we recuperated 61.8. As long as we are above the 25 380 area, looks bullish. If we fall below that, keep an eye on the 24. Let's look at that backside of it. It's 24,681. Let's call it 700 in order to hold in case we come back in. I'm not being bearish or bullish. Trade what we see on a weekly basis, because we consolidated that week. We had a gap up due to the holiday on Monday. We had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we looked up. We continued by keeping an eye on the Dow. Let's take a look at the small cap RTY or the RUT or the IWM. If you look at it, waiting for data on the weekly basis, we had looked up into the prior, gap down. We filled part of the gap. That's 1450 area is very important area. We looked into the 61.8, but we had a little bit retracement on Thursday, Friday. We continued higher. What I'm going to do is go to the daily chart to show you what happened to it. We can see the push back into the 1450 area. We looked up to the 61.8, came back in on Thursday and Friday, pushed back up. In order for consolidation to continue higher, I'd like it to clear that area as well to get to the 200 SMA, that prior H pattern where we fell down. We are in an uptrend. It had a little bit weakness on Thursday and Friday compared to the Tuesday, Wednesday action. Let's take a look at the NDX, where most people, the NASDAQ 100, we're already almost at the high. If everybody is looking at it from high to low on the daily, we recuperated almost 100% of the move back up to the top. We are above the 18 simple moving average, above the 200. Let's do the 50 simple moving average, getting rounded. We're above the 200 simple moving average, and at the same time we are above the 61.8 moving average. We have pushed above the 61.8 a while back. I would not recommend shorting the 97.36 or the 97.40 or 50 until we have a little bit more higher level before we can come back down. And the 18 simple moving average has been holding us very well, and the 50 is being rounded. So this is one thing to look at, and I'm going to go back to the weekly to show it to you. And this is the weekly, looking very strong. The 18 is around here. As long as, we stay above the 9,400, that's going to be very critical, 94.05. So that's the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the SPX. And the SPX is in a similar situation. I do have a channel here. I'm showing the gap from Monday that we continued higher. We're above the 50, we're above the 18, we're above the 116 and the 200 SMA, as well as the 61.8 fib, where everybody was looking at the 28.55, 27.85 and saying, oh, this is going to go back down. Unfortunately, it didn't. The Federal Reserve Board have been, putting money into the market, keeping it stabilized, even on the COVID-19 and what's going on in the global markets. We are starting to come back online. People, the 30 million people unemployed. Is there about 10 to 12 million people going to go back to 15 million people go back to employment? Yes. Is there going to be a slowdown? Yes. But is there recuperation? Yes. Because if you look at the White House, there was an article uh, in the news. I think I wasn't sure if it was in the New York Times or it was in the global, Fortune 500, magazine, where it said Larry Kudlow was reporting that the economy after this and everything, since the Federal Reserve Board are pumping it higher, this has the possibility of going way up there like we did a couple of years ago. So don't be biased to one side, trade what you see until the trend changes. We know in the next 6 months we may have a little bit of volatility in the market. Keep an eye on it to understand it and what can happen. We can have a pushback down 8%, reset 8.5% before we can continue higher. I want to do show you validation in it. These are the gaps which we already filled. These are the two gaps down here. There's two more up here. I marked them on the chart. I'll show them to you. I'll zoom in to show you how they look like. I put the oval here. This is the Monday gap. We stayed above this channel. We touched the 200, 116, and we bounced back up. So that's the SPX. Let's now look at AAPL. And if you noticed, Apple looks like very in good consolidation. On the left, we had a box in this range between the 304, 310 all the way to the 327. This is the consolidation, and it fell back down. If you look to the right, we had this consolidation. Same thing inside this range. Eventually, I think if it holds the 18 simple moving average in this channel, it can clear the 327 here in order to continue higher. That's Apple. Let's take a look at Amazon. I'm just going to show it to you fast. I don't like the pattern on it due to this, back and forth consolidation. It's in an up channel. I can do a channel from here to here. It's holding up. It's holding the 18, but I would like to see eventually Amazon coming back to the 50 simple moving average before continuing higher. So that's Amazon. Let's take a look at BABA, B-A-B-A. And a tweet on Friday from Donald Trump regarding Hong Kong and China, basically saying that, hey, the accounting side on the reporting on American depository receipts and stocks that are traded in the U.S. market, they're going to scrutinize against them to make sure that their books is done correctly. And regarding the COVID-19, the market took off again. And if you notice, BABA pushed above that channel, did hold the 200 SMA, tapped into the 18, cleared the 116 SMA. You're halfway through this move. In order to clear this, look for the gap to continue higher. It falls back. Be careful of it. Let's take a look at Facebook. Facebook is in an uptrend, cleared the prior high. If you noticed, had that little island, it retested it. In order for Facebook, it has to hold the 18 in order to continue higher. Let's take a look at Google. Google L, this is the high on it. This is the low. This was the H pattern. We have cleared the H pattern in the breakdown. In order for Google to continue higher, I'd like to see this gap here fill in order to go higher. You can do, broken wing, butterfly, or 2-to-1 ratio puts and calls to finance it to going higher. And I'll show you it one more time. We zoom in. This is the gap between here and here. If we can clear it, we can come up to here eventually. If it falls through the channel in the 18, look for the backside of this area here. So that's Google. Let's take a look at Netflix. Netflix is, consolidating, came back down. I wanted it to be in the 380 range, 385, 388 for a buy. Unfortunately, it didn't make it. It made it to that close enough to the 400 range, and it U-turned back up. If it breaks up, look for the 435. If it falls back through this channel in the 50, look for the 38.2, and eventually this consolidation here and here in order to grab it to continue higher. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla is range bound, and what's happening in Tesla is it is in a triangle. We need to keep an eye on the 775 area, 770, the 850 area, 870 area in order to break up or break down this way to the 50 simple moving average in the 38.2, or if it clears this area, look for the upside of this prior high. Let's take a look at Boeing. Boeing, this is the basically, you know, if airlines are going to go back online, people, you know, in the next 6 to 8 months start to travel, you know, and it does hold this channel here. Look for the 180 area. If it falls back in, look for the 122, 120 area for a buy to go back up in Boeing. Let's take a look at American Airlines, AAL, I believe. American Airlines, if you noticed here in that bottom, it kind of rounded itself up. I know I'm not looking for a cheap, I'm trying to find, you know, a swing trade. This is a rounded bottom. This is, you know, another rounded bottom. You can consider this is the shoulder. This is the head. If we can create another small shoulder here, inverted head and shoulder, look for the breakout coming back to the 14, 15, and eventually to the 17 area dollar. Let's take a look at the CAT, Caterpillar. Caterpillar, you know, broke this area, had an island. We had another island here from the holidays. If this consolidates, makes a U-turn and continue up and clears the 116 and the 200 SMA would be great. If it catches the 50 and the 18 for a bounce back up here, that would be good too. Let's take a look at Lockheed Martin. This is in the defense sector. Lockheed Martin had a, you know, a good day on after the break of this channel. Wednesday, this was the Thursday, we double topped up here, we fell back down. If it creates a small shoulder here and U-turns, you know, on the 38.2 and look for a breakout of the 402, will be partial, you know, to the 420 area. Let's take a look at Wind Resort. A lot of ground, so that way you guys can have some idea what's going on in the global market and over all different sectors. Wind is consolidating in this range. It can go on either side. It's getting a rounded bottom in the 50 simple moving average. It's tapping into, you know, the 18 simple moving average, trying to push higher. If it does hold this channel and U-turns and goes back up, clears the 90 area, look for the 105, 103 area would be this range up here, catching up with the 116 SMA and the 200 SMA. Let's take a look at gold, GC. And I went back to people are not looking at it that way. I'm going to zoom in this area. GC is giving a lot of hard time between the range of the 1691 area and 1765 area. What I'd like to show here is very important. If this is a shoulder, this is a rounded bottom, which is the head, this is the outer shoulder, and if it clears 1755 area, look for the upside of 1788 to continue higher. If it falls back and catches the 50 SMA, that would be in the same range as the 1690. If not, look for the 1660 for a buy zone if it falls back here. I'd like to accumulate gold for the long term. If there's a breakout in it and there's a little bit of volatility in the market for the next 6 months, look for gold to continue higher. Let's take a look at oil. If you noticed, from the OPEC, Russia, and the shutdown, eventually it had this gap, and we fell down. Some brokerage firm didn't allow you to trade the oil in this range. I was able to get it through another platform, not through Thinkorswim. I got it through another platform, which I'm not going to mention, so that way no people say, hey, I'm promoting this company or this company. It doesn't matter. I grabbed it at the 6.90, rallied it to the $9.50. Tried to grab it here. I wasn't able to. That day I had an order at $9.50. It didn't get there. I had to chase it in here into the breakout of this candle. Got some off here. Then eventually I noticed this consolidation. Got back in it here, and I rallied it back to up here inside this consolidation. It looks like it's tapping into the range of the breakout. In case we break out into the gap, look for the 40 area. Would be a great area to continue higher. If it falls back in this range, keep an eye on the 18 simple moving average in this channel to catch it to continue back up. Okay, that's oil. What I'd like to do here is look at Goldman Sachs. Just if you notice, Goldman Sachs looked up into that consolidation in this area where we broke out of, came back in. I don't like the pattern. If it can hold the the 188, 190, look for a U-turn to come back to the this area and continue higher. Let's take a look at BLK. Is in a similar situation. If you look at BlackRock from high to low, it recuperated more than 50% of the Fib. It eventually broke through this channel. We are in an uptrend on it. If it catches the 18 SMA, look for a bounce back up in this channel up here to continue higher. And it filled partially the gap. You can see it. There's a little bit more to fill up here. So that's BlackRock. Let's go now back to I want to show you Target TGT. People do buy it. If you consider this, this is the shoulder of it, this is the head of it, and this is another shoulder. Keep an eye if the 18 simple moving average in this channel does hold it up. Look for the upside of the 125 to 128, 130 area. That's in Target. And let's go back to ES and break it down a little bit more in detail for you. Very ugly due to the fibs that I have on it. I'm going to eliminate those fibs to show you how it looks like in this channel on a faster time frame. We're going to take this fib off, remove the Fibonacci. There's a lot of noise in it, and I do have actually two gaps in here. I marked them due to the holidays and last professional gap that we had on the push higher. What I'm going to do is go to a 20-day, 78-minute. Just use a 78 due to the fact that the S&P 500 does not close at 4. It closes at 4:15. The E-mini contracts due to the future trading till 4:15. If you notice, this was the prior gap from the week before. This was the gap on Monday, and we had the short day on Monday. This is the Wednesday. This is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday's action. If I zoom in, you can see it a little bit more clearly that we retested on that tweet on Trump, and we continued higher. So I'm going to break the volume profile on the monkey bars. Then I'm going to go back historically, look at the VIX and the transportation to give you a better idea where we can head according to market data, and make sure you use your intelligence to analyze what happened technically, analyzing the history. It does not have to continue. Remember, we are chart readers, we are technicians as traders. We're not influenced by the noise and the people that tell us on the box what to do. Just look at the chart, it tells you the story. So if you notice, we are in an up channel. There's a yellow one here, there's a yellow one here. We do have these two gaps in there. We are aware of them in order to continue higher. Let's go now to the style. We're going to switch it to monkey bars. And inside the monkey bars, if you notice on those 10 days, we looked back further. Let's just go back in history. That 1775 area here, if you notice 76, we retested it. We consolidated here very well. in the last week when we had that push up. And we never looked back ever since. And we had the holiday, which was Monday. This was a short trading hour. We looked up from 29.47.50 area to the 30.65.50. If I look at it, if I take a Fibonacci from this low to this high, and this is the reason why I had that fib there, so you guys can see it. What we're going to do, grab the fib, grab the 47.50. It's going to be close enough, and we'll adjust it right there to the 65.50. Edit the property, and I'm going to put 47.50 there. And I'm going to put the 65.5 here. Push OK. That will give me a better idea. If I combine all this week's volume profile, the POC should be around the 50 here. So I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to do any adjustments to it. I can see in case we stay above the 30.30, 30.55, we can continue higher. If we lose this area, look for the 19 and 06, then the 92 would be very critical. We can head back to the 47 and eventually to the 29.29 area and the 29.19. If we stay above this range and we do hold the 30 to 55 and we don't lose the 30.06, we can continue higher to the 65, clear that high, come back to the 23 extension, 38, the 50 fib, and the 61.8 should be around the 31.40 area, which will give us a nice target to the upside in the coming week. So trade what you see. If you need assistance, please ask us how. We'd be more than happy to help you, but I'm going to go do the fix before I say goodbye to everyone. So we're going to go back from here, style. We're going to put it back on standard. Here, put the time frame on a monthly chart instead of a daily. We're going to go to daily. We're going to go maximum. On the daily chart, we're going to go to the monthly, push OK. What I'm going to do, we did this earlier this last couple of weeks, the S&P 500. If I go back in history till 1987 area, you can see the retracement right here. This is the ES. What year is this? 1985. You can see the retracement falling down in 87. Then it took us about a year, 2 years to recuperate 100% of it, and we continued higher. I'll just use the ES since I have it there, and we can see that move from the 1990 all the way till to 1998. That was a big move up here. Then we had the 98, 2000, 2001, the tech bubble, the Twin Tower. We fell back down to the 1997. Then we continued higher. Then we had the 2008 real estate bubble. Here it is. Then we fell back down in the same area. Then ever since then, we continued way up. We had that move up till, this was the election in 2017, the Trump, and we went higher as well. We had side action for about 2 years in the Obama administration. Then we had the tariff and the Federal Reserve Board. Then we fell back down. So if I look at the VXO or the VX or the VIX, similar idea, what has market in those periods of time. And I'm just going to go show you the 87, the 91, the 97, 98, 2000, 2001, then the 2008. We had the 2012, the 2016 Eurozone, the 18-19 Federal Reserve Board, and the tariff. We had the correction, so we'll move to here. Now I just want you to be aware of this. Keep an eye on the 38 area to 45 if the volatility picks up. If we stay up below the 32, 34, keep an eye that we are stabilizing to continue higher. But there may be, the next 6-7 months, there may be a little bit, I'm thinking between 4 to 5 months, a little bit more volatility, which we can have a small correction, does not have to happen in order to continue higher enjoy your weekend. Look forward to seeing you on Discord next week. Be safe, take care, and over now.